And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of the Petty and Ill-Informed podcast, where we venture our petty and ill-informed opinions about a variety of topics. Joining me is Tom.
Hey, everybody. How are we doing?
Oh, okay. I expected you to say more there. Sorry. Okay. So how's your week been?
Yeah, it's been really good. My class of special needs kids, we managed our first ever trip, or my first since joining the school. And we went to the local park, took loads of pictures, shared them with parents on our secure internet platform, and all went really well there. I continue to be brown-nosing our executive head. And, well, we recently got an email about a week ago saying results of our recent Ofsted inspection are in. That's the Office for Standards in Education, the school inspectors, for those of you who don't know, from stateside and stuff. So we've retained, at least for now, our outstanding status. They're going to come again and check in a couple of years, but it was pretty good. And, well, to say the least, it was very promising. A couple of areas to work on, but we know what they are and stuff. It was really good. So I gave a card and a little box of chockies to our principal, and I gave to I go into some massive grovel mode whenever I see our executive principal, Jill Palmer. And probably, well, doesn't matter that I've named her, but all it means is whenever I see her, I sort of do this deferential nod kind of thing. It's probably quite cringeworthy. And hi, Kevin. And I gave her a little present as well. She wrote me a very nice email to say thank you. So it's nice to be in the boss's good books when I spent so much of my life terrified of them.
I do picture you as a kiss ass. I'm not even going to lie.
Oh, I'm the worst. Keep your head down, your nose brown. That's my motto.
Fair enough. That's good point. Kevin, welcome.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
Yeah, can't complain.
It's Memorial Day.
I could complain, but
it's Memorial Day weekend here. Is that why Nikki's not here?
Nikki's not here actually because she's been abducted by aliens and is being anal probed.
Oh, that's fun. That's a good thing to do. It's either that.
Didn't seem like she was complaining. She seemed pretty happy about her situation, so gonna go ahead and leave it alone.
Yeah, there's nothing like a
Lord
good probe.
Mercy.
There's nothing like a good probing, though, is there?
Yeah. I mean, she definitely seemed happy with a lot in life. So, no, she had to go to the dentist yesterday and had some teeth extracted. So she's not in the mood at all to do the show.
Come on.
Can't blame her. I've got to have one of them next week. I've got a tooth that is not in a good state at all after I crunched on a cereal bar of some kind and my teeth just bit into what felt like stone. And it was a bit of shell. And it's taken I thought it had just dislodged a filling, but apparently it's taken a chunk of tooth with it. And I've got to have the remains of that tooth extracted in all likelihood on Tuesday next week.
So what do they have to do? Put an implant in?
Oh, I think they'll probably just give me a local anesthetic and hoik it out.
No, I mean, are you going to leave it just bare?
I think so. I think that's the plan. I'm not sure.
Is it in the bag?
Yeah, it's a molar. It's an upper molar.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I need to get all my teeth done on the top because I lost 2 teeth right in front of my incisor, so I look like a homeless man.
Okay.
Just broken half, eating a curly whirly, if you can believe it or not.
Must have been a very cold and frozen curly whirly.
It was apparently. It was. It sucks, man. It sucks. It's going to cost me a ton of money, but anyway, that's the way that goes. So I was just checking to make sure it was in the back for you.
I mean,
Yes,
you know,
it is. Thankfully.
candy does destroy your teeth. We all know this.
Right. Yeah, but
Yeah,
it
we
doesn't
still
usually
pig out on
snap
it.
them in half.
Yeah, we still
Usually
stuff our
takes a few
faces
years.
with it.
Yeah, I
Well,
found Cadbury's have started doing white chocolate bars. I don't know how long they've been doing it for, but I'm just like, oh yes, give me Cadbury white chocolate.
well, one thing I noticed whenever I was in Northern Ireland is everything is orange flavored. Chocolate.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. It's
Yeah.
like, what is the Irish and bloody orange flavor? Mind you, I went to Scotland recently, and the amount of Iron Brew on their shelves is ridiculous.
I love it. I love it. I love Iron Brew.
Can't stand Iron Brew personally,
Yeah, Sam
but
says it tastes like medicine.
it's
But
just like,
if you have a hangover, there's nothing better than Iron Brew. I'm telling you that right now.
no. Powerade. Powerade for a hangover is the best thing in the world.
You think? I
Yeah.
don't know, mate. I'm telling you, Iron Brew usually does it for me.
What-
Not that I get a
what-
hangover anymore because I don't really drink.
Yeah. Even when I drink, I'm like so bloody old. I have like 3 or 4, and then I'll have 2 pints of water and be like,
Yeah.
okay, that's me for the night. So I don't get a hangover anymore anyway.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is it's very hard to recover from a hangover now. I could go out for 4 hours and then it takes me 4 days
Yeah.
to repair that. I just can't take it.
Yeah,
Getting
I'm
old.
feel that totally as well.
Yeah. Does vegan beer do that to you, Tom?
Well, any beer does. If I just tend not to drink very much. I mean, I've had one beer tonight, and it was about 3/4 of a pint in a can, maybe. And I've just cracked open this revolting strawberry laces cider can, which is far too sweet, and I don't even know if I'm going to get through it all. So I'm definitely not the drinker I was, not by a long shot.
Yeah. I noticed that's the case. Every cider now is so sweet. I don't know what it is. It's not cider anymore. Just it's apples and strawberries and peach and all this other crap in it. I don't know.
Well,
I
they've
made my
taken over
own
what-
cider a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I messed up the sugar content very badly. So it was like 1,000% proof or something. I'm telling you, it was like Scumpy. It was like the worst Scumpy ever. 1 cupful of that, and I was beyond bladdered.
Yeah. could you put a nail in it and watch it dissolve?
You could have thrown it in someone's face and been charged with a hate crime.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It's funny making your own alcohol. It really is. I made. I've got a. What's that called? Where you have a still thingy, where you take it and you run it through and it gets all that. It does a really good job. But
Yeah.
you have to be careful with it. You always throw away the first and the last. The head and the tails. That's where you get into trouble, because at the start those are the really strong, things that can hurt you. But you've got to watch it on the internet if you're going to try to do it. But if you do throw what's called the head and the tails away, you've got to just get rid of that. That's the stuff that makes you go blind and all that bathtub gin and all
Yep.
that stuff.
The head
So
and
what's
the tails of what?
The first thing that comes out of the still is called the head. That's the first bit. And then you've got the body. That's the one you want to drink. And then the tails is the last bit that comes out of the still. And you want to throw that away too.
Okay.
Well, that's if you're doing hard alcohol, you see. So when you first get it out, it's going to be about 30 proof, and then if you distill it again, double distilled, it's going to be about 50. And you triple distill it like Irish whiskey, it's probably about 60 or 70% alcohol by volume. So you basically triple distill it. But you don't have to do that. I mean, if you're just using sugar as your base, you use a little bit of sugar and then go through it. It's actually all right.
Yeah, just be careful with the sugar.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you can see old whiskey distillers online, and they'll show you how to do it. White Lightning.
Oh, taking us back to the park bench days, are you?
Well, I mean, if you get into a little bit of a afterworld scenario, like if you're a prepper, you get it strong enough you can run your car on it. You know what I mean? But you want to drink that. So anyway,
I knew a guy who used to run his car on vegetable oil. I think you can run any diesel engine on it, but you're not paying petrol tax on it, so that's what makes it illegal and dodgy. But he used to buy bucket loads of the stuff from Lidl.
Yes, and you filter it through so that it's clean, and you can run a diesel on it. That's no problem. And the nice thing about it is that when you run it, your car has a nice smell like French fries or chips.
Yeah, but that gives you away to the Rozzers. Like, what you running your car on, mate?
Yeah, but here's the thing. Nobody stops you in Northern Ireland. You basically can do whatever you want, whenever you want. So you get away with it. But I imagine that in England, it's a problem, because they stop you guys for everything.
Yeah, they're not allowed to do highway. They're not allowed to do speed traps anymore, but they still do it.
I was watching every one of those television shows, where that it's all like high speed pursuit in England. It's like that, they always treat it like they're, like the public are basically the bad guys. I don't like that. You know what I mean? Public is not bad. Police are supposed to be to protect you. It's not like should be a us or them scenario. I don't think
it's totally us and them, and they suck.
Well, it's an unpopular view. Basically, that's the thing where you're supposed to. Whenever I was a kid, you looked up to police officers. Now a lot of people just don't like them. You know what I mean?
Never looked up to police officers. They're always filth.
You're a rebel. You call them the filth. Like in London, the filth showing up.
Yeah.
There was a hilarious time when my late brother, when he was about 12 or 13, he had a big sleepover and had a load of mates around, like half a dozen of them. And they went out of the back, our back garden, went straight onto a school field. And they just all went out through the gate and they were playing football in the dark in the middle of the night. And somebody, a neighbour from a road one side of either of this field, took it upon themselves to call the police. And a couple of torches appeared in the far corner. My bro and all his mates legged it in, hid in the back rooms. The police came into our back garden, shone torches through the extension windows and things like that. And then, just as they were going, a kid called Danny stood up and switched the light on. And they all went, no, no, no. And the police came running back and, right, that's it. We know you're there. Open up. And they opened up. My mum had to get up. They had to explain that they did live there, blah, blah, blah. And one kid called Ben kept trying to have his say. And he was, but we were just, and the officer went, shut it. But we just, shut it. Exactly like the stereotype.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. I wasn't there for it, but it was reported to me by my bro, and I could completely believe it.
Yeah, that's it. Thing about it is, as long as they don't lay hands on you, that's okay. You know what I mean? But some 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 do in some cases, and that's not good. That's it. Although I will say, suspects get treated better in Britain than they do in America sometimes. I don't know. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. There are cases of police abuse, of course, but you know, one of those things. One of those things. So, what's been going on this week? Anything exciting?
Let's see. For me, no, not really. EastEnders was pretty lame, as I'm sure you know.
I haven't watched it. So I haven't watched it since Yolande's troubles. I need to go back and watch it, but Sam can't watch it. So I'm gonna have to like watch it by myself. So
Basically, this was Whitney's last week. She's left the show,
ah
so they had to hastily write her exit. And it was quite lame because they use exactly the same storyline they used for Nancy. So we just got that again, only it was Whitney this time, and then she left. And I'm just like, I don't, I'm going to miss her. She's been on the show like, what is it, 12, 15 years?
yeah,
Been a long
I had
time.
a wee crush on Whitney. Did she nick the kid and then leave?
Yeah, she got the kid and they left.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought it was going to come up on top of her because she didn't have any paperwork for the kid, and she paid
No.
that drug addled mom.
Yeah, for it, yeah. But no, social services showed up and it all turned out fine in the end because the mum turned up and was like, yeah, no, it's totally fine. And yeah, but yeah, she was leaving, so it was pretty much all Whitney this week. Bianca's back.
Yeah,
Don't know what.
is she going to hook up with Zach now?
Don't know. Someone is.
Zach's on his own.
Zach's on the market, single again. So
Yeah, yeah. But it'll take him a while to get over Whitney.
will.
Supposedly the love of his life and soulmate.
Yeah, but he said that about Nancy, didn't he? So apparently
Yeah.
Nish is coming back next week, so I'm looking forward to that.
Ah, well, he's a bad man.
He's
He's a
been
bad
gone for
man.
too long.
Yeah, he's a bad man. So that'll be good. He'll bring drama.
Good
He'll
drama,
bring-
yeah.
Yeah. But anything in the news or on the TV that other than
I
EastEnders?
don't watch the news. It's
No
all lies anyway.
lies. Yeah.
There was some shit this week. It was really dry for a few weeks, and then we got a lot of rain, so we had flash floods. That was
Oh yeah. Do you flood where you live? I mean, you live right next to the water, but that's the ocean. It shouldn't be a problem there, is it?
Yeah, Carlisle regularly gets taken out by flooding. You'd think they'd do something about it, but no, Northerners, they got their northern pride, and they're not gonna, be stopped by a little bit of water, even though
Yeah.
it destroys the entire city once every 3 years.
I'm not worried about water.
Exactly.
That was terrible, by the way.
That was an awful northern impression.
Yes, that was the worst. I used to be able to do it okay because my grandfather was from Bolton, so I could do a pretty good northern accent for a while. But that's the way that goes. Those things go away. But I mean, Bolton's not even as far north as you are. It's quite a ways away from where you are. How far is Manchester from where you live? 2 hours, 3 hours? Richard.
Manchester is 2 hours away.
Yeah. Well, it was supposed to be 3 hours away or 2 hours away from Tom too, with the that HS2 railway that they're not going to build now.
Oh, what an unbelievable waste that was.
Yeah. Well, you can go really fast to Birmingham because everybody loves that. The home of ska. I was watching that program, Our Time. I don't know if you watched it, but on BBC, it was good. That was pretty good. It tied in the start of ska in the 80s, and somehow also link the IRA into it. So, good old time. No, there's nothing.
What?
Yes. So anyway, this kid has a mutual grandmother with this semi-black, well, obviously not all the way black, but black kid who lives in Coventry or something like that. Oh, no. The white kid lives in Coventry, and his dad is a brigade commander for this IRA thing. And so he tries to get him involved into the IRA, first of all, through doing the diesel scam, where you take, farm diesel and then filter it, and then it turns into, white diesel. So, the red diesel thing was non-taxed for agriculture, and you run it through this system and then you sell it on the black market, you see. So there's a lot of people that still run their cars on red diesel. But anyway, like I said, so that's how they were making the money. And then they were going to bomb these different places, and they were going to drag the kid into it. So the kid gets away from it and goes and sees his cousin who lives in Birmingham or something. And they start a ska band or something like that. So that's, it's not a bad show. It's not a bad program anyway.
No, just trying to figure out the IRA thing.
Yeah, well, that's how they did it. That's how they did it. Because the people in Ireland were saying that the people in England weren't doing the job because they were sitting in England. And they weren't part of the big, I don't know what you call it, program or whatever, rebellion. So
the whole thing, the troubles.
Yeah, but I mean, is it fair to? I don't know. I always thought it was weird. I always thought it was weird that they started blowing up places in England. To be honest with you, I just didn't.
If you're gonna fight, then you fight. You hit civilian targets, then you're a terrorist. If you hit military targets, you're a soldier. That's the way I look at it.
Right. But supposedly, they always called in a half an hour in advance, which didn't always work. And there was a code word that they said, which the code word in the show itself was not the correct code word. So anyway.
Banks use Audrey.
Yeah.
When they're getting robbed.
Hey guys, yeah. I'm really sorry, but I'm afraid I think I'm going to need to tap out. I'm literally falling asleep here. I'm really sorry, but I've got to listen to my body on this one. I'm not going to be any use to you trying to stick around. It's just been a very long day because we've had water damage, had the plumbers round. I've been having to saw floorboards and stuff. It's just been a long day, and I'm afraid I really need to tap out. So I'm going to say good night, people.
Oh, good night. No, that's the problem. You don't have to give us an explanation, mate. You just have to say you can't do it. That's. I mean, I understand. If it's,
I knew you would, guys. Thanks a lot. I'm glad I could say. Cheers, guys. Good night. Bye, everybody.
Bye. I can't believe my story was so bad.
Yeah, I mean, you put Tom to sleep, man.
Yeah,
you got to be more entertaining.
It's. You know what it is, to be honest with you? It's the sweet lull of my voice. I've got that voice.
It's just sleazy Irish charm.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's the thing. If you no, I won't say that. That's terrible. I was going to say something like, I put women to sleep. And then I was going to say, that's not consensual.
That's not good. That's not a good thing to say in this political climate. No,
I don't think so. So that's the thing. That's the thing.
Unless you were like, my voice puts women to sleep, and then I don't touch them at all and leave because that's the gentlemanly thing to do.
Well, and I mean, anymore you'd have to, right? I mean, that's the thing. You just have to. That's not correct, and I wouldn't do that. I mean, I honestly wouldn't do that. Especially. But I wouldn't get.
But you wouldn't leave after you put women to sleep. You'd stay.
No, I would leave. I would absolutely. But you see, no, I would. No, shut up, man. You know, my thing about it is I wouldn't be in that situation where I was alone with a lady in her apartment. I just wouldn't do it. It's too.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not right. People could think the wrong thing of you, and you don't want that. So I think that's the best thing. That's the best thing. I mean, you know, look at old Donald Trump still going through the trial, and the main thing is he paid that lady off that came to his, you know, hotel room. We don't know what happened in the hotel room, but she says one thing, he says another thing. Who you going to believe? That's the question. And you know, regardless,
I mean,
yeah, but you're
he
in
didn't
that
pay her to
situation.
do the cleaning.
No.
It's pretty obvious what happened.
Well, but you see, at the time, he didn't pay her at all. It was just to hide the story up about it. So, I mean, she could be lying, but that doesn't change the fact that he paid her. And the reason that he paid her was for, you know, to silence her. And the question is, where did the money come from? So, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if the money came from his campaign, you know, he broke the law as far as that's concerned, and we'll see what.
Yeah, but politicians never always get away with that. There was that John Edwards bloke who was paying his mistresses to keep their baby a secret with campaign money that pretty much got away scot-free with the whole thing.
Yeah, but he didn't run after that. You know what I mean? That was him done. All I can say is this. I honestly don't believe that. I think that one jury member will hang out and it'll be a hung jury. And so they'll give it a mistrial and then they'll have to decide whether they want to try to do it again. So, I mean, if it's a mistrial because it's a hung jury, they can prosecute again because he's not deemed to be not guilty or there's no verdict in that case. You see what I'm saying? So it's
I think
not.
they shouldn't have put Americans on the jury.
Well, they have to.
Well, I think like because there's such a division.
Yeah.
With Trump, like either the jury's stacked with anti-Trumpers or it's stacked with pro-Trumpers. You know, he can't get a fair trial. It's like O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
Well, the second time they put O.J. Simpson on trial, there was no way he was going to get a fair trial.
Well, no, I mean, race came into it at that point in time, didn't it? And, you know, one of the things that is hard is...
No, the second time.
Oh, when he got...
Armed robbery.
He was found civilly... Oh, yeah. But he was found civilly liable for her death. You see what I'm saying? And then in the robbery thing. Yeah.
But I meant for the armed robbery trial, there's no way he was ever going to get a fair trial because he was O.J. Simpson, and everybody knows O.J. Simpson got away with murder. I mean, the book was a little bit, you know.
Yes.
On the book, nose.
If I did it.
If I did it with the if really small.
Right.
You're
I mean, that's just, you're just begging for it at that point in time. You're just taunting people. But, you know, everybody that's on that jury is supposed to say, I didn't read it, or I can be you know, I can be sort of what's that? Not influenced by it. Yeah. And we don't know if somebody is or not. I mean, this is the thing. Jury nullification is a you know,
is a thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's you know, a lot of people you know, count on it whenever they're like sovereign citizens and stuff like that. They
sovereign citizens don't count on jury nullification. Sovereign citizens count on never going to trial in the first place.
Right. But
have you ever watched a trial with a sovereign citizen? It's fucking so annoying.
Yes.
Because they'll sit there and they'll go, I don't understand. You have no jurisdiction over me. But they showed up to court. If you don't believe someone has jurisdiction over you, you don't go to court.
But I think that a lot of times they're in jail. They don't have the money to get out of jail. and so they're sort of forced to go to court. I mean, you don't really meet sovereign citizens with a ton of money to pay
Or
sort of bail.
ton of IQ points.
No, I mean that's it. I mean, there's very, very few that that are, you know, they make it on shoestrings. You know, I think I could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, if you've got any money, you've got to basically play by some of the rules. That's my
You've got to play by the rules to get the money. Once you've got the money, you don't have to play by the rules anymore.
well, yeah, no, extremely wealthy people. I mean, extremely, not just, you know, somebody who's making. You've got to have like millions and millions of dollars, and then at that point in time, you don't have to worry about it. Those people never go to jail, ever. You know, very rarely anyway. It's a hard thing to say, never, isn't it? You just, but very, very rarely do they go to jail. Yeah, that's it. So, have you watched any programs? Did you end up watching that sort of reindeer, that baby reindeer show? Boy, they
We
should have been
did.
talking about it. What do
Me and
you
Nikki
think?
did work. I think he fucked her.
Yeah,
That's my honest takeaway. He did not cover himself in glory
no,
throughout that show.
yeah,
He made himself look like a bit of a pillock, really. You've got two clearly damaged, not very nice people in that situation. I mean, she's nuts. If you watched the Piers Morgan interview,
yeah. She's absolutely. But you know, his defense is that she's all over the. I mean, he's all over the place saying whatever he wants to say, and she should have her say. You know, which she did there. I just don't think that she talked her way out of it. I mean, you know, like I said, um,
I definitely don't think she was convicted of anything.
no, but here's the thing, Richard. I mean, we live in a society now that it's like, okay, either he's right or the other person's right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we don't live in the part where they both could be crappy. And I think you said it. I mean, the fact that they're both sort of damaged, I don't see why everything else is put into the situation of, oh, absolutely he's right and absolutely he's wrong. They both can be crap, you know,
Yeah,
in a lot of
I'm
ways.
not saying that. I'm saying they're both wrong.
Yes, absolutely. That's my opinion too. Yeah. And I can't think of anything new I've been watching. I mean, really, on any kind of thing.
I don't
There's a
watch
whole
lot of
bunch of
TV.
things. So what have you been doing? Have you been fishing or anything?
No, I go for walks and stuff. This is big. I know nobody else is going to care, but I am 95% sure that I saw a black kite the other week
Oh, yes.
in the nearby marshlands. I checked online, and they go as far north as the Shetland Isles between April and June. So it's not unheard of for one to be this far north. However, I would still say if it was a black kite, it's more likely it was an escaped pet than an actual migrant.
Oh,
But assuming, of course, it was a black kite.
you know
But
what I think it was?
what?
A cloaked Bigfoot.
I mean, that could work.
It's
That could work.
It's a shape shifting Bigfoot.
It was a shape-shifting Bigfoot that had taken the form of a black kite. Absolutely.
Yes, that's it. It knew what you wanted in your heart's desire and then presented that itself to you because it likes you.
But there's another reason why I'm convinced it was a black kite was because I didn't believe it was a black kite. I was like, oh, what bird's that? It looks like it looks like a small red kite with a weird tail. And I was like, and I didn't know until I went home and I got out the bird book because, of course, I've got a bird book. I'm that kind of person. And I went through the bird profiles and I found it, and I was like, no, that's impossible. And then I checked online and I found out that we do get wild black kites, and they do go this far north. I just wasn't expecting to see it at all.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, if you mean, that's a good thing. You look out for those different things. I mean, if I saw it, I'd be like, oh, there's a bird. And I think most people would be like that. They just would say, oh, there's a black bird or whatever. They wouldn't necessarily try to identify it or something. I mean, it's like, it's like train spotters that can tell you exactly what type of locomotive it is, just by looking at it or hearing it. You have to be specialized in that. So you're a lucky boy. That's the way I look at it. You're lucky. I mean, and I like hearing about stories like that.
I don't know, because like the leader of the local RSPB chapter swears blind she saw a common crane at the marshlands, and I just flat out don't believe her at all, even a little bit, because cranes are, Norfolk area is where you get cranes. There wouldn't be one this far north, but now I'm sort of wondering,
Climate change. That's the excuse for everything.
Well, yeah, that's why we're getting black kites. And it's theorized that if we have a really warm summer this year, they might even breed. And if we get nesting black kites, that would be awesome. Even if it was down south somewhere, because we get like hoopos and stuff in the summer now. But like an actual mated pair of black kites that had chicks and everything, that would be cool.
Do you think somebody would come and try to steal the eggs?
Nah, we're way past that.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah, back in the day, like 30, 40 years ago, definitely. But these days, nah. It'd be too well guarded, for one thing.
Yes, probably monitored by CCTV or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's amazing to me how many places are covered by cameras, and especially in Britain. It seems like there's a camera everywhere, and yet, people still do weird stuff. People still do weird stuff, but I think that would be good, and it seems to me like. I mean, if you say climate change in Britain, because Britain's not that big, really, it's a small island. You can notice small changes, and things move up north. I mean, I'm still convinced, that Ireland's going to be a tropical paradise. It'll be like Bermuda or something in 50 years, because we're off the jet stream, so all the warm water and all that stuff will go up there. So that's what I think. I could be crazy, I don't know, I could be nuts, but yeah, I think it's gonna be, because if you look at the way that Spain and Italy becomes unbearable in the summertime, now it seems like they're always in 100-degree, or 30, 35-degree Celsius weather in the summertime. It just looks roasting all the time. And I mean, who'd want to go to that? To be honest with you. Because I'm sure it's not dry. It's just humid and everything like that. And that's what, it's just terrible. Getting all sticky and all that going outside. I mean, that's it. And then even the south of France seems like it's too hot. So I don't know, mate. Where's the temperate areas anymore? Central France, the Loire Valley, as it were. That's probably still nice.
Yeah, I mean, if you can have an ice age, can you have a heat age? Will the entire planet be a desert wonder? Well,
that's what they're afraid of, isn't it? Whenever they start to say the Sahara Desert is expanding south, obviously that's a bad sign. that's a bad sign, because I mean a lot of times that's what they said was the fall of the, what was it, the Kushite Empire, uh, which was south of Egypt, and they say that it became so arid that nobody could live there, and so they had to move even more south. I mean, it's not the first time this has happened, obviously, and it's just it's one of the things. Is it caused by people, or does it happen naturally? That's the question. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean that's the eternal question. Is this our fault, or is this something the planet's just decided to do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be that the planet has decided that we're like cockroaches. Let's get rid of them.
Be interesting to see.
Yeah. I mean, one way or the other, the planet is going to shed themselves of us.
Oh, Gary. Modern science reckons dinosaurs weren't giant reptiles, closer to birds.
I've heard that.
Warm-blooded, for sure.
Yeah.
Had to have been.
Yeah. So then that begs the question. Obviously, they would have starved to death in it after that. Would you think that basically the grand meteor would have extinguished the sun for such a long time that it was a famine situation?
It was just a mass extinction event. I mean, dinosaurs weren't the only ones that got absolutely shredded by that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of animals that went extinct because of the K2 meteor impact.
Right. Well, I mean, do you remember, learning about the sort of the time was like the bad seasons. There was like 3 or 4 seasons in, I think, the Middle Ages where a volcano had erupted or something big happened, and it basically blocked out the sun for 3 or 4 years, and there was no harvest. And I mean, it was it could have killed a lot of people. It did kill a lot of people, but that's the way it was. I mean, there's a theory that there was such a large population, and then it shrunk down to like about 4,000 people, and that's where we're all from. There's 4,000 people that lived, and that's where we all came from. So, is that true? I don't know, but it's an interesting concept, and if it is true, it sort of, it brings back the idea of how different are we really? Not very, if we've got this sort of central ancestry. It's like that. It's like that answer of, there's several people that are, they say that, like a third of people who live in Asia are related to Genghis Khan.
Well, the dude got around.
He did get around for sure. And, but that's a large number. But then if you go to, the to the root, exponentially, that's about right. Yeah. It's like,
I mean, his son was meant to be even worse, wasn't he? Kublai Khan was supposed to be even worse.
Right.
For that, for the women.
Yes. They did not treat women well. That's for sure. I mean,
that was a different time, though. I mean, you could just whack women over the head and drag them back to your tent in those days.
Yes. I mean, I think
and of course, Kevin, as modern men, we're very glad that time is over with.
Right. Well, I mean, we do. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, that's the thing that's, do you remember in Eric the Viking? You remember watching? Have you ever seen Eric the Viking? With Tim Robbins?
No.
I mean, I think that, in the starting scenes when they're raiding the British town, I mean, this lady just lays back and, she says, "Aren't you going to rape me?" I mean, I think that was, kind of the way that they thought it was. I mean, I wonder how many times these poor women were subjected to that. Probably more than once, I think, which would have been a terrible thing. I mean, that idea of I'm going to spread my genetics through that way. I don't know how accurate that is, because there is some things that say they preferred Viking to Anglo-Saxon men because Vikings took baths and cleaned themselves, and they took some care of their body, versus Anglo-Saxons that just basically looked like Baldric, just shit covered little bastards. And so, that was one of the things whenever they came to settle in England to become farmers. They said a lot of, native women took to them because they had, they were calmer. So you don't really know how it was. And it made, if you think of the sacking of Lindisfarne and all these different medieval sort of churches, obviously they're going to write it in a way that's, they were the ones that was going to write the stories. They're not going to say, "Oh, they were fine and they just robbed this." I mean, they are going to use, and I'll use the term hagiography. I love that term. Just to make up the story as they want, you know what I mean? And they did that because, whenever you're talking about saints and what they actually did, they just added stuff onto it to make it look miraculous. That
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you had to do 2 miracles to become a saint. And
you can't just sit around and claim to be a saint. You've got to have there's rules.
Yes, two miracles. And that was the thing. You had to be like, okay, I brought this person back to life, or I did this, magical event. Like Saint Kevin of Glendalough was supposed to have built 7 churches in a night. You know what I mean? I don't. 7 churches in a night. And I think the other thing he did was he brought one of the king's pet geese back to life. That was a miracle. That was deemed to be a miracle. So there you go. To me, that doesn't classify as a miracle, but anyway, that's one of those things. He was one of those people who lived in a lake or something, and lived by a lake, and he would go, out into the cold water and purge himself that way, and sort of beat himself with nettles and all that weird stuff that people back then did to sort of punish themselves, because
I always wondered about that. It seemed like an odd thing to do.
The self-flagellators.
Yeah. I mean, if they were into that shit, that's cool.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I think that the idea of pain as a part of spirituality. I think, what are they trying to recreate the pain that Jesus went through during the the last days of his life? I don't know. I don't get it. But I knew a lot of these people wore hair shirts, and a hair shirt was basically, a item of clothing that was made out of hair. It was very uncomfortable to wear, and it would attract lice and all kinds of things. So basically, they were wearing this thing that was constantly biting them, and it was very uncomfortable to wear. But that was it.
The patience required to put that together is insane.
Yes. But I mean, that's the thing. It's suffering that, the idea that you're going to make it to the heaven by the suffering of living here. And I think we've gotten away from that, that idea. It's like, I don't think a lot of people sort of devote themselves to God through suffering anymore. Especially people that are like, multi-millionaire preachers. I don't think they're suffering too much. But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's interesting to me how the gospel changes, and the idea of the gospel changes. I mean, I grew up in the Presbyterian church, and that was one of the things that was, an Irish Presbyterian, basically, it's different now. Whenever I go to church, it's so different from whenever I was a kid. Whenever I was a kid, it was fire and brimstone. Here's the rules. If you break the rules, you're going to hell. That's it. And now it's all, brotherhood.
Love is all around, man.
Yeah, love and peace, and everybody be nice, and love this and love that. I don't know. That's not the way it was when I was a kid. I can tell you that much. And the oldies who sit in the back with me remember the old days, and that's what they talk about. They love a good sort of telling off, back in the day.
Oh yeah. They'd be at the front wearing fake beards for the stoning.
Yes, the life of Brian would come into play that way, just basic, ideas. The interesting thing about that, you remember whenever they are sitting there, and what were they called? The People's Judea Front or something like that?
The People's Front of Judea.
Yes. And then the other one, I changed the name, but, it was funny whenever the guy was there and he wanted to identify as a woman. And that whole dialogue there, between people. I was very, very ahead of him, ahead of society.
Yeah. Addressing the trans question before it was even a thing.
Yes. It was a very interesting thing. And they, it was sort of logical. I don't know how popular it would be by today's standard. But I mean, that was the way a lot of us thought about it, especially then. But you have to evolve, don't you? You have to evolve into the way things are. I don't know.
My favorite scene in that whole movie is where they meet the other resistance fighters in the sewer.
Yes.
They have a fight over who came up with the plan first.
Yes.
I absolutely love that.
We were supposed to be here today. We marked it off.
Oh, it's good stuff.
Yeah. My thing was always the mom, the mom of Brian. That was a good character. She was good. And then the guy biggest Dickens.
He has a wife, Incontinentia. Oh, you can't beat that. Don't make that in here. I'll tell you this. I never liked Flying Circus at all. It was very miss for me.
Yes.
But all the movies were really good.
Yeah, but that movie was so controversial then. I don't think that a lot of people thought it was actually going to go into theaters because
it's so ridiculous, isn't it? Like today, that's nothing. It's a tame film.
Yes.
But back then, that was up there with Bill Cosby.
Yes, it was very, very blasphemous, and that was the thing. That people took a risk whenever they. It's like in Father Ted, The Passion of Saint Tibulus.
Down with it, sort of thing.
Yes.
Careful.
When Saint Tibulus was trying to get something off that other guy. He was trying to. Yeah, it's very.
God, that's such a great episode. Well, not that there's any bad episodes of Father Ted.
No, not really. It was so brilliant. You know what I mean? And that actor that played Father Ted, he's sorely missed, and in the way that things go.
Yeah.
If you see something else that he's in it, he's always brilliant. You know what I mean? I saw him. There was a YouTube thing where the crowd were asking the executive of RTE, questions about the programming that they put on, and that guy Dermot, whatever his name is, I can't remember his last name now, but he was in the crowd, disguised as a Western Irish person,
Yeah.
he was complaining about the fact that every bit of programming was tailored around Dublin, and they ignored the West. It's funny, he just rips into them, and they never notice that it's him, and it's just kind of an interesting thing, as it is.
I think it was McKinney, wasn't it?
Something like that. Obviously, you can look it up. But old Arnold McHanlon, you don't see him in a lot of things anymore, do you? I mean, at one point in time, he was sort of the Irish comic. He really was a funny guy, but now you never see him anymore. He was in Dairy Girls for a couple of episodes, but that was it.
The only thing I saw him in was that god awful superhero thing he did.
Yeah, after that, that wasn't fun.
That was awful, and I'll die on that hill.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting in Northern Ireland that a lot of unionist folks won't call it Dairy Girls because of the Londonderry dairy stroke problem, right? That tells your political persuasion on how you say dairy or Londonderry. So they won't call it Dairy Girls. They'll say The Girls. The program The Girls. They won't call it The City. And that's I had a conversation with that. Sam was always talking about Dairy Girls, and sometimes people who probably didn't watch that program, if you know what I mean. But she got away with it a lot because she has an American accent, so nobody really gave her grief. Although we got to know these couple of taxi drivers pretty well, and he was complaining about immigrants, and then he looked at her and said, "Well, not including you, of course." She was deemed a good immigrant, so that's good. Got away with it. It's funny, you know what I mean? It's very hard to immigrate to Britain now, much harder than I remember, as far as that goes. Getting a visa is not easy. I mean, student visas are one thing, and but and you used to be able to get like emergency position visas, like for nursing and things like that. But I don't know about that anymore. But just to live there as a spousal visa is not as easy as you think it is.
And you should go on 90-day fiance.
What do you think? Why? Because they pay for it? Would they pay for you to immigrate?
Well, no, but you'll get some money out of it, and it'd be fun.
Yeah, well, that's true, isn't it? Yeah, you'll get some money for being on the episode and all that. But I figure it's roughly about what? Let's see. Wait, let's see. By the time you hire an attorney and everything like that, it's going to cost you about $6,000.
Yeah, it's not chump change.
No, and that, and then you have to basically post some form of a bond. So it's not cheap, but it's getting more. It's going to be more expensive in August. But that's the thing; they really are making it so they don't want the average Joe. if you got money, it's fine. They'll let you in just great. No problem.
Yeah, I mean, money opens all doors, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna wrap us up there because I am also sleepy.
What did you do with Tom? What did you do to him?
Very
Are you
good.
guys, did you guys
It's just that time of the year, I've been in the garden all day, weeding and
you
mowing.
got yourself exhausted. Yeah.
I'm definitely ready to go to bed. All
Well-
right, night, everyone. That'll wrap us up for this week. We will return next week. Sorry, despite the hopes of many. It's good night from me, and it's good night from him. Good night, everyone.
Cheery bye. Bye bye.
Cheery.